Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osterberg501 and today I want to go over the legendary tier set for the Technomancer called Torrential Downpour. Now before we get into the video, less than 5% of people that watch my videos are subscribed to my channel. So make sure to subscribe if you want to keep up with all of my uploads. And like with all the tier sets, you need 3 pieces of the set equipped to get the tier set bonus. And the tier set bonus for this set is Shrapnel creates additional cluster bombs after explosion. And this set is built around augmenting or changing 2 different abilities from the Technomancer. First is Shrapnel, which is also augmented by the tier set bonus itself. And then the second is Fixing Wave. And I couldn't find any tooltips or explanations of the Shrapnel ability, but essentially it is a mine you can throw out that then when an enemy gets too close to it, it pops up in the air and explodes. And there can be other augments to this which allow you to throw out additional mines. And if I'm not mistaken, even with the base version of the skill, you can throw out and have a certain amount of mines laid out on the battlefield at one time. Then for the Fixing Wave, it's a support skill that restores health to the player, constructs, and teammates. And what I mean by constructs is the Technomancer has different things that they can place on the ground, such as a turret that can shoot different elemental projectiles. And this ability is essentially just a big AoE heal. And if I'm not mistaken, it doesn't matter where you are or where your constructs are or where the other players in the game are, it will still heal all of your allies. So first off, we have the Torrential Downpour'S goggles, and all these items are going to be at item level 17, so the stats don't matter that much because they will change as you get better pieces. So these have 532 armor, 132 increase anomaly power, 2% increase to skills life leech, and 4% cooldown reduction. And for the tier 3 mod, we have Breathe In for Fixing Wave, reduces the skill's cooldown by 20%. Now this is a pretty big overall power buff for the ability, but in my opinion, it's incredibly boring. It's just a cooldown reduction. It's something that you may need depending on what build you're going for. But in my opinion, if you could, using some other mod or not using these goggles and using something else with more interesting mods would be something I would try to do. Then for the tier 1 mod, we have more traps for Shrapnel. 1 additional mine can be thrown before triggering the cooldown. And like I said, I couldn't find an exact tooltip for the Shrapnel ability, so I'm not sure how many mines can be thrown baseline for the ability at once, but this is adding 1 additional to that so you can have more mines on the ground. Next up, we have the Torrential Downpour's armor with 581 armor, 131 anomaly power, 2.17 skill life leech, and 4% cooldown reduction. And the tier 3 mod for this is Trap Cluster for Shrapnel, doubles the number of mines that can be thrown before triggering the cooldown. And this is again adding more mines that you can throw and have on the ground at one time before having a cooldown and having to wait to throw more. And like I said, I'm not sure how many you can throw as a baseline for this skill, but I could definitely see a build where you have a bunch of mods that increase the amount of mines you can throw, and then having one of these trap cluster mods which then doubles it, and you could possibly have like a dozen mines on the ground at a time. And I could definitely see this being something for certain boss fights where, say, if you know where the boss fight is going to start, you know where the boss, say, is going to jump off a ledge and then the boss fight's going to start, you could easily set up tons of these mines in one area to have them all proc and blow up at the same time, doing a massive amount of burst damage. And then for the tier 1 mod, it's Cleansing Wind for Fixing Wave. Activating the skill removes negative statuses from allies and grants 5 seconds immunity from them. Would definitely be a really good mod if you were being more of a support build while playing with other players, because this heal already will hit them anywhere there are, and now it's going to remove any negative effects off all your teammates and then grant them immunity for it. And I could definitely see this being heavily used on specific boss fights, because most likely there's going to be some specific boss fights that do a ton of status effects that does most of the damage, and then you can just cleanse it and give immunity to it. Next we have Torrential Downpour's gloves, 634 armor, 115 max health, 2.33% skill life leech, 4.66% cooldown reduction. And the tier 3 mod is Anomaly Echo, grants 138 firepower and 115 anomaly power bonus on skill activation for 15 seconds. So this is another one of those not ability specific mods where it's just a general damage buff, but this one is pretty good because you can have this up 100% of the time pretty easily. Whenever you activate a skill, you get this for 15 seconds, so it's essentially gun damage and ability damage. Now I'm not sure how much this would actually be in the grand scheme of things, if this is going to be a good amount of damage increase, but this could definitely be a pretty strong mod just for the ability to have it up pretty much 100% of the time pretty easily. Then for the tier 1 mod, we have Fine Tuned for a Shrapnel, increases the detection and explosive radius by 33%. So this just allows the mines to explode much quicker when enemies get closer and have a much bigger explosive radius, which can definitely help, especially when fighting against mobs of enemies, because you won't have to be as specific with your placement to get these to actually blow up on enemies. Then we have Torrential Downpour's leg armor, 623 armor, 131 anomaly power, 2.17 skill life leech, and 4% cooldown reduction. The tier 3 mod for this is Head of the Ward. Reviving an ally also fully restores their health. Now this could be decently strong when playing with other players, but that all depends on how much health they would normally get after being revived and how hard it's going to be for those players to fully heal themselves. It can be a strong talent, but most likely a lot of people probably aren't going to use this mod because most likely there's going to be stuff that's better in general use, because also this means a player has to be killed for this to actually work, so it's a much more of a specific mod. Then for the tier 1 mod, we have More Damage for Shrapnel, increases the skill's damage by 284, so a really boring mod that's just a damage increase. But if you already have a ton of other mods that augment everything you want to do and have more interesting mods, this can definitely be something that you would want just to get a big damage increase. Then finally we have Torrential Downpour's Footgear, 569 armor, 86 max health, 2.33% skill life leech, and 4% cooldown reduction. For the tier 3 mod, we have Quartermaster for fixing wave. Activating the skill replenishes 1 weapon magazine for each ally, cooldown of 45 seconds. Now I'm not exactly certain if this would proc off, say, the Technomancer's turret, or if this is only going to be other players, because even if this is just other players, this can still give you a ton of ammo. Now I'm not sure if it's considering you to be an ally or not, but even if this just say only could be up to 2 times, so for the 2 additional players that could be with you, even with just that, depending on what weapon you would be having, this could be pretty massive. Say if you have an LMG with 100 or 200 rounds in a magazine, getting 200 to 400 ammo every 45 seconds could be a pretty massive ammo regeneration. Then for the tier 1 mod, we have Supplies for Shrapnel. 1 additional mine can be thrown before triggering the cooldown, and again, just throwing out more and more mines before getting that cooldown. And like I said, I could definitely see a build built around being able to throw out as many mines as possible before getting to the cooldown, possibly just being able to have a dozen plus mines out on the field at the same time. So that is the entirety of the Torrential Downpour's legendary tier set for the Technomancer. Seems like a more of a mix of an ability and support build, and this could definitely be a really strong set baseline if you're someone that's going to be playing with other players all the time. But if you're someone that's going to be playing more solo, most likely this set is going to have to be heavily augmented or just for the most part skipped because of all of the support aspects of it. So subscribe if you want to see more Outriders or other videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about this set, and thanks for watching.